are doing a great job. A lot of them are.
Good afternoon, Dwayne. How are you?
Not too bad, sir.
Ladies and gentlemen,
Radio Cayman's Talk Today with Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
But I do have some questions.
There are more questions than answers.
Radio Cayman's Talk Today. If you're ready to talk, we're willing to listen.
Well, I really enjoy this program today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
May God bless every person.
Hey, good afternoon and welcome. Can you believe it's already Friday? Or as our own Joel Wilson would say, Friday. Or Susan would say, Friday. Well, why don't you join me? Help me to feel as young as I look as I feel. 949-8037, 1-800-534-8255. Want to hear from you. So stay tuned for Talk Today.
Talk Today is brought to you by Subway, open 24 hours in Countryside, Anderson Square in Georgetown, and Centennial Towers in West Bay. And by the Ministry of District Administration, Tourism and Transport. Explore your history, explore your land, explore your sister islands. MedLab in Smith Road Plaza, your complete medical laboratory solution. Call 949-7331. And Savannah Pharmacy in Countryside Shopping Village, convenient opening hours including Sundays and holidays.
Radio Cayman's Talk Today, the Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program. We ask our listeners to avoid statements or comments which are abusive, derogatory, malicious, or defamatory. Do not use any indecent language or make any statement which is false or misleading. Email talktoday@candw.ky or call 1-800-534-8255.
Courtesy of Flow.
Cayman's #1 network that connects you to your world like never before.
Let your voice be heard. Once again, here's your host, Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon. Welcome back, and thanks for joining us. We love it when you listen, participate, share with us of your wisdom, counsel, expertise, and experience. So let's go straight to the phones. Hey, good afternoon. Welcome. Thanks for calling.
Good afternoon, Mr. Sterling. How are you? I know you don't remember me, but I know your voice. I hear you every day, but you don't remember my name. I know.
All right. Well, I tell you what. I'm glad that you listen, and I'm even more honored that you would take time to call and share. And maybe as the words gone forward, I might be able to jog a memory. But you may tell me all the same. Welcome. Blessings to you. Blessings to you. Welcome.
Yeah, you're blessed. Yes, darling. Thank you. What I called for is that I found a tire on the road, and I don't know who it's for. It's a new brand tire, and it's dropped off. Your car must I don't know where it come from, but anyway, I picked it up on the road, and I have it at my house in my car, so they can call at 916-8721, and identify it if it is, and they'll get it.
So is it a car tire or a bicycle?
Yeah.
My mom used to tell us, I'm going to be on the road so much and run that car till the wheels come off. So.
Yeah, well, the wheel came off. It's not the big car tires. It's the small ones that you use like on the trailers and stuff like that. But it's a new brand tire, And
wow.
I got it, so they can come and identify it, who it's for. I'll give it to them.
Yeah, well, see, this is the wonderfulness that is our people, where we find things, we try to make sure that it's reunited with his people, So thank you for that. Now, how do you find it now? I mean, we are almost to the end of this, first month of this new year, and there are a lot of traffic on the road. I mean, we're seeing things, but what are some of the good that you've seen, and what are some of the things that concern you?
Well, things that concern me is the way that people live these days. They don't live like we did in our days, because somebody, and most of the judges and olden days, they find something and they would try to find out who that was for. But these days, they're about to find something, the majority.
Yeah.
You still got some that will. They take that and they're going to put that one side for themselves. And to me, you help one another as we go along in life. But that's how I have ever been. I lived my life now to getting up made, But I still after yesterday I help people. About 3 people yesterday I helped at my age.
Yeah.
And that's the way that I feel we all should live, do what good we can while we're here, not while after we're gone. Then people say that this was good and this. You do it while you're here. You get the roses while you live, but don't get too unforgiving after you did. They never done anything for anyone.
Yeah, and at that point too, I mean, you don't know, and not only to me that is worse that you don't know the people that want to give you those roses, want to say those nice things to you. They have no way of knowing. Chances are they absolutely believe that you don't even know that they're saying that you're there. So like you share, do it now while the person is here so they can appreciate it, but they can see that you value them and take time out to share with them.
That's right. That's how I believe. I got a friend and she is bedridden and family feud. I would say, I wouldn't name it what else. And I tell you that I've been helping her from 1987, and now she's bedridden. And I tell you, yesterday I was a stop. I had to be a stop for her.
Wow. You see, people.
I've been trying to get people to help her, but it seems like that's a hard road to get anybody to do anything.
If it's, and I'll leave it to you, but I'll be guided by you, because your call just to say, here's a tire, I know, if it's yours or like you to get it back, you remind us of how important it is to give, to share, to be kind, to be loving, to be honest, to have integrity, right? And here you are, for all these decades, just drawing close to your friend and helping. But you also highlight the growing challenge that is in our community where we don't take time to help each other. We don't recognize.
You don't take time to go to your friends no more. You don't now your family, and they don't even know you anymore. Yeah. Very few that will come by and say hello, good morning, how you doing, or whatever, or that kind of thing. I'll just say another thing to you. I found there's a man on the road, and he had a flat tire, and he didn't know what to do. He couldn't get hold of the agents, the car people. I said, sir, you can look after my spare tire in my car, and if it can fit your car, well, I figured it could because it was the same size car and I think it's the same make, Toyota. I said, you can take my tire, and tomorrow morning, when you get your change, you can bring that tire back to me. And he said, you mean that, Mom? I said, yes, sir, with all of my heart. You on the road stranded, why I can do a good favor for you. Why should I leave you here stranded into mosquitoes and can't help you? No, I don't live like that, sir. I said, you can bring my tire back to me, and if you don't bring it back, it's all one thing. I'll still make it. And make sure he brought that tire back the next day after he got his fix. I stayed till he got it fixed, and he left, and the next day he brought it back.
Wow. See, that's it, you see. I think people, unfortunately, have become surprised at that genuine kindness and love and care that you so quickly and openly demonstrate. And I think that the world has become so jaded that when someone does something for you, you don't know how to respond. You think there's an ulterior motive. And I think this is where the media, the movies, the music, all of the stuff have done a disservice in recent decades to in failing to unify people, to show the good. And we always look at the horrible stuff. We always highlight the hate, almost as it is, and your call today really should set the spirit of how we can come together as a community, no matter who we are, where we're from, how old we are, how long we've been here, where we plan to go. But we can love one another, right?
Yeah, it is. Yeah. People is not good in helping one another these days. Yeah. Thank the Lord. I got a different. I'm not because I'm saying it, but I have a good spirit to help you, next whoever it is around that I can help. I have that kind of spirit about me, helping people.
Well, thank God for people like you.
I don't give up because the Lord told me that. Yeah. He tells you that daily when you read your word. Think of others. You mustn't think of yourself alone.
Right.
Love your neighbor.
Yeah. If it's okay, I want to say one thing and then ask something. First off, I want to say that my prayer, and I hope the rest of the community listening would join me in praying for you and people like you who not only continue with a heart of service, but would in turn receive favor, provision, and protection. Because end of the day, you're giving so kindly and so willingly that there are those out there who may take advantage. So we pray that you not only have the health, but the discernment to be able to do as you have been doing, and to be guided and provided. I truly pray that.
I'll give you another little secret, which I guess is, my daughter told me when she was young. She said, "Mommy," she says, "when you get old, nobody should think it hard to do anything for you because you do for everybody." I said, "My sweet, Mommy got to do what she can to help people the other can't help themselves." I just said, "They should do for you when you get old." I said, "But the part about that, they're going to be gone. They're not going to be here when Mommy get old. They're not going to be here." So I said, "They won't be able to help Mommy."
But you see,
understand it, you see.
Yeah. And if I could, that actually leads into nicely to what I wanted to ask of you, if it's okay, right? And people like you are givers. You just give so freely, so willingly, kindly, lovingly, without asking anything, right? And I think you're sowing good seed. So like your daughter said, good follows good. So you're going to do this, and not because you expect it, but I pray it comes back to you. But I want to ask, I think as you were sharing to a number of people like you who are givers, who just give, and really don't ask for anything. And some of them, because as you reference your friend, bedridden, who may not have much family or people near to draw alongside. And then there are those who are not necessarily bedridden, whether they're from here or not, whether they've been here for a long time. They're probably on their own.
Yeah.
And I'm wondering, how do we draw alongside them? I'm thinking specifically of something and someone, and recognizing that there's a love that we have for people, a genuine love, but for whatever reason, we are unable to embrace it. We're unable to nurture it as it is, right? In your wisdom and experience that you had, how do we draw alongside those people in particular who are almost on their own, whether they're bedridden or whether they're up and working and moving around, but they don't really have that same level of, I don't want to use the word intimacy because that may convey something for other people's minds, but that connectedness, that partner, that person, that rock, that person in their corner.
What I tell you, when I see a person, I say good morning, how are you? And if I'm driving, I will still wave my hand and say good morning, even though they don't see me or hear it. But if I cross you on the road or people walking, I say good morning, how are you all doing? And that's how I got in contact with people. I was walking one morning on the road, and this lady, she passed me different times on the road, driving a little red car. She stopped one morning. She says, "Mom, I have to tell you that you are really a true Caymanian. Every morning I pass you, you hold up your hand and say good morning." She said, "You don't find many people like you."
So, yeah, well, you're a great example, and I'm hoping that as people listen to what you shared today, not only with the person with the tire, but the rest of us would understand that we only are responsible for our actions. And if we show love and kindness, it'll come back to us, but it may also encourage others to equally show some love and some kindness. Huh?
That's right. I feel like we should love one another, even though people hate you and do you things that they shouldn't do you. It'll hurt you for a time being, but you get over it, and then you see them, you say, "Morning, how you doing today?" Or whatever. That they can know that your resentment has left from it and things like that,
Yes, Mom.
Yeah.
Blessings to you, Mom. Thank you for your time, all right?
Thank you, too. And then when I see you again, I'll tell you who it was. It's been a long time, and I was seeing you, but you know who it is, but by not talking to you on the radio, you don't remember.
Yeah. Well, I'm hoping that I get a chance to see you in person, all right?
Thank you very much.
You're most welcome. Amen. God bless, Mom. Thank you. if there's ever a reason why you love this country, and your reason why many of us draw close, well, ladies like her should remind us. She's just giving, and that is that Caymanian warm, loving, welcoming, inviting hospitality that is embodied in many of us from many walks of life, from many corners of the globe. And if we can do one thing as we go into the break, let's take for a second, reflect, and ask ourselves, what can we do today that will continue to propel and build momentum to draw closer to one another with a great sense of love and unity. Stay tuned for Talk Today.
Freedom, Cayman Rack. Freedom, Little Cayman. Soft breezes, blue waters, no traffic. Unwind and rejuvenate your mind, body, and soul. Sister Island Staycations, a taste of freedom. Discover all that our sister islands have to offer.
For medical lab services in Cayman, go straight to MedLab. Blood test, x-ray, and mammogram, all of that is MedLab. Affordable fees and friendly service, a full professional team. MedLab is always comfortable, MedLab is always clean. For medical lab services in Cayman, MedLab.
Call 949-7331 and ask about MedLab's new state-of-the-art digital mammogram machine.
Make your house into a home. Welcome to Brand Source Home Gallery, your source for premium products and a premium experience. We'll design and install your dream kitchen with crafted cabinets, complemented with elegant appliances. We'll fill it with quality houseware and cookware. Custom-designed closet and storage solutions organize and beautify any area. And with the finest bedding, you'll get a perfect night's sleep knowing Brand Source Home Gallery has everything you need to make your house a home.
Now open on the sister island, Brack Medical Supplies. Located at 403 Gerard Smith Avenue, next to the Alexander Hotel. Open Tuesday to Saturday from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. Telephone number 948-2228. Brack Medical Supplies.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners' participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon. Welcome, Mike, and thanks for joining us. And if you miss the lady that just called, I'm not really big on social media, but if there's ever a post that you should, what is it? Post and repost. I know Susan knows what they are. What I mean, tweeting. That's a quality we should listen to. That lady embodies what I think causes many of us to be blessed and to feel that sense of safety and security, and recognize the civility that is, within a society that is truly drawn together by true love. She reminds us, of what it is to give without expectation, to give knowing that at the end of the day, good follows good, but you do it because you can and you want. For that person who may have lost that small tire that she's saying she has it, well, reach out to her. She wants to unify the owner with the property with the owner. But I think in listening to her, as I reflected in the break, what can we do? She shares that there are many in our community, because of age and infirmity and the like, have been relegated to bedridden. We would hear in church being referenced, as the shut-ins. What can we do? Not just as family, friends, and neighbors, but as a wider community. But what about those of us who are here and not necessarily have many, close family and friends? I would say family in particular. Hopefully, and prayerfully, we have good friends. But what about those? And sometimes I'm probably, recognizing that circumstances don't allow us to embrace that which we would otherwise choose. But how do we maintain that sense of love, honor, respect, and give as we would want to? Well, the lady showed us how. She takes an example. Maybe we can borrow from her. Well, what's on your mind? 949-8037, 1-800-534-8255. WhatsApp, 925-3261. And share your thoughts with us. It isn't, I think, that anybody listening would say, oh, but there's no care or concern, there's no trouble, trial, or tribulation. There isn't. That we're suggesting that life isn't hard. But look around. And don't just, recall what you may have read somewhere that says, well, if you have, this, then you're wealthy than that percentage of people in the world. Or if you have that, look around and recognize that in amongst the complaints that we may genuinely have, perhaps there's a semblance of health. Perhaps there is an opportunity for something else. But if there's a breath that we can take, maybe there's a step that we can, make, and perhaps through that, there's an opportunity that if we are grateful, we can actually not just get more, we can give more. And if we're here and now, what is it that we're doing that is helping or hindering? Are we hurting and harming? Or are we indeed trying to do better for each other? Because in the end, that'll be better for us, is it not? Now, we probably, through study, or maybe just through our own self-edification, have discovered, things like game theory. The prisoner's dilemma perhaps being a good example, and recognizing that through cooperation, collaboration, we can even get better outcomes. We think of it in terms of how, again, it's probably portrayed oftentimes in the business cycle, the notion of collusion, and we think of the oil cartels, the oligopolies, the practices of sometimes large businesses that through an opportunity to collaborate, some would infer collude, they're able to manipulate prices. They're perhaps able to ensure that the market is sufficiently cornered in the sense that through the manipulation of supply, they can inflate prices. Diamonds for many probably seem to be very valuable. Or is it an artificially inflated value? Perhaps some have suggested over decades that the supply was restricted. Is the commodity in and of itself something that is valuable because of the developed perception through some positioning of a product? Or is it that it is really valuable? Now, I give you a choice. You haven't had any water to drink for the longest time. Someone says, here is all the diamonds in the world, all the wealth of any kind, but here's some water. Which would you take? Now, there are many who probably have read the fable, perhaps have even heard it, as an account, an accurate, unfortunate account of something that transpired in your own family. There's the person, clambering to the bag of money, and should they let it go, they can swim to safety, or they can perhaps, grab the hand that is there to hold them and bring them to a safer place. But letting go of the money, they let go of their wealth, and therefore, they go to their demise and perish because of that firm grasp on that bag of money. I don't say that lightly. It's a story my father told us very young. He, together with two other young men, just barely out of their teens, off the Mosquito Keys. He told us the area, and there's an older gentleman. They were ferrying him back on the catboat. Weather being what it was, the catboat capsized, and only at that point did they realize that that gentleman, he wasn't elderly in terms of, being in his 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, he was just older than them as young teenagers. And he held on tightly to his bag of money. And no matter how much they tried to help him to ensure that he, like them, could come and hold on to the keel of the catboat, he would ensure that he held on to that bag of money. Well, sadly, seas washed him away, and with the money, he too, disappeared. Let's take the call. Hey, good afternoon. Welcome. Thank you for calling.
Good afternoon, Sterling Dwayne. How you doing?
I am blessed, man. Very thankful and looking forward to how I can be better.
Good. I can steal Mr. Dolan's slogan, you know. I'm number one from New Kingston.
We miss him already, huh?
I can't forget it.
Yeah, man, yeah.
Sterling, your first call.
Uh-huh.
No, that came on, yeah.
Yeah, that's came on. She is...
And, you know, that is very fast. Well, I should say it has gone.
I don't think so, but you're right, man. You might be right.
It has gone from Grand Cayman. It's one or two that will still do it.
Yeah.
But let me tell you, that's what you get when you go Cayman Brac.
Mm-hmm.
That's the treatment you get.
But even then, there are some noticeable changes happening in all three islands, huh?
Well, in terms of construction, you got a lot going on in the Brac, but that hospitality is still there.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It is so nice.
Mm-hmm.
Just the other day, well, I help wherever I can, do wherever I can. And I was at Foster's the other day. And there's a young man that's seen me.
Mm-hmm.
And told me his situation. He hadn't eaten in days and so forth. Well, I don't have no money on me.
Mm-hmm.
But I got my debit card and so forth. And he had Mr. Woody's number. Because Woody gave it to him and so forth and told him, you know, whatever he can do to help, he would do it. Just call him.
Mm-hmm.
He called for Woody, couldn't get Woody. And the poor man has a tumor in the head. Can't work and whatever else. He said he's even homeless.
Mm-hmm.
And called somebody else, which I won't say the name of.
Mm-hmm.
And that individual was actually sick. They couldn't assist him.
Mm-hmm.
So I told him, he said, I don't want money. He said, I just want something to eat. So I said to him, let's go back in. I'll buy you whatever you need.
Mm-hmm.
And Sterling, it brought tears to my eyes. Let me tell you. To see, you know, just what the man picked up, because he didn't pick up anything that you would say that was extravagant or anything. Just pick up what he could use that day
to
get something to eat.
As I listen to you, right?
And
go ahead.
And we sometimes we look at these people and we scorn them, and you know, turn our noses up or whatever else. Oh, you get from me, and you're big, or you this, you're that, you know. And you don't know what that individual is going through.
Yeah, but as I listen to you, right, I think that too many of us, like you said, aren't cognizant of what is happening. And I'll share with you, if I may, just two things.
Sure.
You know, the lady that called prior, it was great to hear all that she said, but the fact that she referenced that the other lady acknowledged, you know, hey, I just have to tell you that no matter the day, every day, you know, I see you waving, I see you, you know, showing a kind smile, right? And I think many times in this society, as you reference, because it's so fast disappearing that we don't see it, it's good when other people stop to acknowledge that they too appreciate this thing, right? But to your other point, are we cognizant of what is happening in our society where maybe many of us have been pushed to the margin economically, you know, financially, so speaking, but also from the society's perspective, out of sight, out of mind. What about the substandard housing that is here, and not just us living in it because we, you know, that's what we can afford, but it's now being used as rental accommodation, as it were. What about the people who have illnesses? The later reference, you know, people being bedridden. What are we doing about that?
I know. I know exactly what you're talking about, because I have a son that is bedridden, in a sense.
Yeah. So you know
been there 3 years in the hospital, nothing they can do for him.
Yeah, my friend, boy. People don't know.
What?
You know.
I'm still happy because I still have him. It's not in the condition that anybody would want to be in, but I still have him.
Yeah.
I can go there, look at him, and watch him smile. But that's about all he can do. He can slowly move his finger to give you a thumbs up or something like that. But that's about it.
Yeah, man. But you see, I think sometimes, right? And I'm mindful of this because many of us are very, very reserved, very private, even when we may be perceived as being public, right?
Right.
And you don't know what a man, a person, is feeling, experience, going through. All right. We often hear, you know me, but come live with me.
Come live with me,
right?
Correct.
But sometimes you see people, and this is why at times when I look at, say, politicians, for instance, and deservedly so because of their own, indiscretions. They may deserve the beating that they get publicly for their behaviors, but they're people too, right? What are they feeling privately? And when we ourselves start to look at things and point fingers, are we pointing fingers with a view that we're going to say, see that person now? I'm going to go over there and help that person. Or are we pointing fingers to say, you see that person? That no good, no dirty, low down, stealing shit, right? Now, they may be that may be exactly what they are, but can we go and help them to say, you know what, I too, was like that one time, you know? And but by the grace of God, I could be again, right? So what are we doing?
Exactly.
It's unfortunate though that we seem to take all the bad from anywhere and everywhere, destroy whatever little good that may have been here, instead of putting it the way around. Celebrate the good and take the good.
Yeah. Well, I always look at the cup as being half full, not half empty.
Yeah, man. Well, I hear you. I also look at it this way, boy. I got a cup because even half full or half empty, I can probably go get something.
Yeah.
So you see, you gotta start where you go,
Yeah.
Yeah, man. Well, I appreciate it, man. And prayers and blessings to you, all right?
Take care.
All right. Let's pause. Let's take a break. Susan is in purple. I'll tell you, boy. It's radiant. No, radiant for red, purple for royalty. We'll see. 949-8037. Let's pause and take that break. When you come back, I want to hear from you. Stay tuned for Talk Today.
Families are like branches on a tree. We grow in different directions, yet our roots remain deeply intertwined as one. Savannah Pharmacy, your neighborhood pharmacy, has remained stable, strong, and deeply rooted in the community. The past 2 years have been very difficult, but they have taught all of us the value of family and embracing our loved ones. This 2022, Savannah Pharmacy encourages everyone to get in touch with your roots, embrace your heritage, show some extra love to your neighbor, and make the year a memorable one. Time is precious. Cherish it and those you love. Savannah Pharmacy, always just around the corner with everything your family needs and convenient opening hours, including Sundays and holidays. Savannah Pharmacy. For more information, call 946-3336 or WhatsApp your Savannah Pharmacy prescription to 929-5045.
For medical lab services in Cayman, go straight to MedLab.
For a full range of medical services, pleasant, clean and comfortable environment, no long lines and affordable fees, visit MedLab at the Smith Road Plaza. Open Monday to Friday, 8:30 a.m. to 5 p.m. and half day on Saturdays. Call 949-7331 to make your appointments.
For medical lab services in Cayman, MedLab.
Ask our professional team about the benefits of cutting-edge technology with MedLab's new state-of-the-art digital mammogram machine.
Wouldn't it have been grand if you had purchased land 30 years ago? It may not be 2020, but a perfect vision has never been more clear. Cayman Brac and Little Cayman, poised for growth with an eye on the future. Your land, your history, your future. Discover all that our sister islands have to offer.
How can you take your business from good to great and thrive in the new normal? By finding the smartest, most powerful IT solutions to optimize your business operations. And now, Digicel Business Hub is making it simple for you. High-speed Wi-Fi, mobile and office phones, IT security, Microsoft Office with Teams, and much more. Everything your business needs to level up in the new normal. Get world-class IT for your business with Digicel Business Hub. Sign up today. Call us on 623-2499 or visit our our website, www.digicelbusiness.com, for more information.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon and welcome back. 949-8037, 1-800-534-8255, or WhatsApp at 925-3261. You know, it's interesting as I look at a couple of the quick messages that came through and are coming through. This one basically says, you know, it's amazing how the simple little things resonate with us, you know, so profoundly. And the problem is, though, sometimes when we see this, two things, I just paraphrase. One, people assume that you have an ulterior motive, as I mentioned, yeah. And two, it's so uncommon now that it cuts people off guard. So I wrote back to the person and said, well, what do we do? I mean, we shouldn't make it, you know, we should make it that is how we are. I mean, remember opening the doors for people in the past. And now you do the same thing, and people would see you, and they would walk right through as if the door is just open automatically, and there's a free passage, not even an acknowledgement, not a thanks. I see that to share that a fellow the other day, he said he's not quite sure of it because of what he was wearing, but he was walked up ahead, and he just, you know, reached and held the door open. Some people walked through, and, you know, some nodded, some just ignored. He said someone gave him $5. He thought, well, why not? Now, I would tell you who the fellow is, but, you know, it would probably embarrass him. But suffice it to say that, you know, he probably be the last person to showcase his wealth. But put it this way, if Bill Gates needed money, he'd probably come ask this fellow for it. So, you know, he's not hurting in that respect. But the problem is that maybe we don't understand that, you know, to be a servant leader, what that takes. We don't understand that it's humility before honor. Maybe we don't appreciate that, you know, it's that sense of giving and loving and kindness. I say that I hope I don't speak out of school, but have you ever been in a case in a place where somebody draws alongside you and offering everything that you are right then and there lacking, and because of their presence, their comfort, then sort of console and counsel, you are now cognizant that you've been lacking that thing for so long, whether it's the companionship, whether it's the intellectual discourse, or whether it's the semblance of, you know, good banter. Maybe you play tennis or badminton, and here's this person that keeps you on your toes, helps you to improve your game. And no matter the coaching or no matter the interaction, you know, in the absence of this person, you would not be any better. But then maybe life and expectations, maybe your own sort of self-imposed sanctions, you don't necessarily make the time, the effort, or are willing to forego those other things in order to fully embrace this opportunity that could be life-changing. Now, why is that? Well, maybe it's societal expectations, maybe it's conditioning, maybe it's just sheer ignorance. We just never know. But what we do know is that there is a wonderful person at the end of the other line when you call to answer. 1-800-534-8255 or 1-800-534-8255, 949-8037 or 949-6990. But as I was listening to that, I was trying to reflect on what we read from one of the messages. And the person, as I read it over again, wasn't, you know, crying down the need to help in our community. But, and I think I read this correctly, so I messaged the person back to ask, are you sure that I got this right? I came away with two things. One, the person is saying, but why is there such a growing need if in fact we're supposedly wealthy? If, for instance, you know, we have so many people on work permit, so many people in government employ who otherwise would be on a permit, and we have others unemployed. Now, if it's because the people don't have the skill set, but what are we doing to address it? Is it that they don't have the skills, not just the academic or the experience in the job, but for some reason maybe they don't have the social, the personal skills. People call it soft skills. I really have to think hard and long about using that word, because to me those skills are absolutely essential, right? But maybe it's a failure on the part to train them, to instruct them. Now, beyond that, the other thing that the person is asking is that if we have this growing need and we are ignoring it to some extent, then why is that? Why are we so willing to turn, a blind eye? And the other comment from the message was that, are we looking at people across the board, or are we only pigeonholing and labeling some people, because that's the area in which they live? I don't think that this would be improper to share, but the person's comment said, there was a time when, the person was struggling, they need to go in for whatever reason, but people didn't know that struggle, was also financial, is what the person's highlighting. And yet, what appearances would believe that everything is okay. I say that to say that the person is sharing that we should provide for all. And some may need a little more, some may need a little more of something, but we all are in need, and very few of us can actually survive on our own. Interesting point. Maybe something we can think about and share and wonder how we can do. Now, I don't profess that we sit down and do nothing and expect everything to fall in our laps. And even sometimes when we are given that, or for whatever reason, whether it's a lack of ambition, motivation, or whether we just don't have that desire for whatever reason, well, there are those of us who have a lot and do very little. Those of us who have little or nothing, and we do a lot. So what separates those people? Well, I would tell you, probably a good mom and daddy, but it could also be good siblings, a good spouse, a good friend, a good mentor, but a community that expects great things from you, because the community, provides for great things. 949-8037, 1-800-534-TALK, 1-800-534-8255. We'll pause, we'll take the break, hit the news, and when we come back, well, Katina Anglin will join us, so stay tuned for Talk Today.
From district to district, moving through the waters to Cayman Brac and Little Cayman. Your station, your voice. All things Cayman. One radio, many people. This is home.
Radio Cayman in the Cayman Islands.
Today's biggest news.
Radio Cayman.
Your voice, your choice.
Local, regional, international. This is Headlines from Radio Cayman's newsroom.
Today's biggest news.
From Radio Cayman's newsroom, I'm April Cummings. A number of regulations related to conservation are gazetted. These include the National Conservation Fees and Forms Regs, its general regs, and the National Conservation Council license and permit directives. The National Conservation Marine Park regulations were also gazetted with note erratum, which means an error in printing or writing. In international headlines, Russian authorities today reported over 98,000 new confirmed coronavirus cases. But the Kremlin says the actual number is likely to be much greater as the highly contagious Omicron variant continues to rage through the vast country. A Wisconsin judge was set to hear arguments today on whether prosecutors should return to Kyle Rittenhouse the assault-style rifle he used to shoot 3 people during a street protest in Kenosha in 2020. Rittenhouse argued he fired in self-defense after each of the men attacked him. A jury last year acquitted him of multiple charges, including homicide. Those are your headlines from Radio Cayman's newsroom. I'm April Cummings.
For the latest in news and information,
follow Radio Cayman on social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Download the Radio Cayman app or log on to our website, radiocayman.gov.ky.
Radio Cayman, maintaining the innovation.
On a daily basis, making it easy to connect with you, our listeners. Add us to WhatsApp today, 925-3261. That's 925-3261.
Radio Cayman.
Send a text or voice note.
Can I send a request, please?
You don't really have to ask us. Just send a request.
This is a shout out to my ex.
Radio Cayman, the voice of the Cayman Islands.
Radio Cayman, maintaining the innovation.
Radio Cayman is pleased to feature this special Sister Islands historical vignette brought to you by the Ministry of Tourism and Transport. Explore your history, explore your land, explore your Sister Islands.
Although very similar to their Grand Cayman counterparts, organized religion in the Sister Islands was spearheaded by the work of Baptist ministers as opposed to Presbyterian missionaries who started the churches nearly 40 years after that in Grand Cayman. In May of 1885, Reverend J.H. Sobey, minister of the Second Baptist Church of Montego Bay, visited Cayman Brac at the invitation of the Brac seamen. During his visit, Reverend Sobey held the first service in a large house, and it was so overcrowded that the following day a tent had to be erected to have the service. In 1886, Reverend Sobey returned to Cayman Brac with Secretary of the Jamaica Baptist Missionary Society, Reverend E.J. Hewitt, in order to introduce Reverend H.W. Rutty as the Brac missionary worker. Congregations started at various settlements with the construction of 2 chapels in Stake Bay and the Creek. The progress would continue, and 6 months later, Reverend Rutty was ordained as a permanent missionary, and more congregations were formed in Westin, Sport Bay on the east end of the island, and South Harbour in Little Cayman. Reverend Rutty's son and grandson would go on to become Cayman Brac's collector and Chief Justice of the Peace.
Radio Cayman is pleased to feature this special Sister Islands historical vignette brought to you by the Ministry of Tourism and Transport. Explore your history, explore your land, explore your Sister Islands.
Explore your history, explore your land, explore your Sister Islands, the ultimate staycation experience. Your culture, your freedom, the land that time forgot isn't gone. It's your Sister Islands.
Discover all that our Sister Islands have to offer.
For medical lab services in Cayman, go straight to MedLab.
For a full range of medical services, pleasant, clean and comfortable environment, no long lines and affordable fees, visit MedLab at the Smith Road Plaza. Open Monday to Friday, 8:30 a.m. to 5 p.m. and half day on Saturdays. Call 949-7331 to make your appointment.
For medical lab services in Cayman, MedLab.
Ask our professional team about the benefits of cutting-edge technology with MedLab's new state-of-the-art digital mammogram machine.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners' participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Afternoon, welcome back, and thanks for joining us. And thanks too for all that we do to protect, preserve, and promote what I believe is the essence of democracy. Not just the freedom to speak publicly, but to recognize the corresponding responsibilities to do so, and in so doing, well, let's continue angling. I think, if I might, and I certainly don't say this in any other way other than to encourage many of us of you who shared your testimony publicly. We have a lot that we can do, that we can achieve, if we're willing to take, that first step. What is it? The Chinese proverb, the longest journey begins with a single step. But I think it also requires not us to be willing to take a step, but a wider community join alongside and being supportive. Cayman now is, finally starting to recognize how simple things become significant. Aaron Jarvis' recent success. Right, I harken back to the editorial in what was then the Caymanian Compass before they killed Ian. Right, and I take that seriously because that editorial talked about how can a space this small expect ever to produce anybody of any value and significance. Right, and that was a great affront to our history, but it was an insult to everybody right then and there. Because you're saying to that family whose ancestral roots go back generations, but you're also at the same time in the same breath saying to that family who just came to Cayman from maybe a population of 1 billion, maybe a population of 100 million, and for whatever reason now is in Cayman, that, you or your children or their children will never expect to win a World Cup or a gold medal or begin to think on the world stage, a Nobel Prize or anything. That was that level of indictment, right? So Aaron's success is his parents, his family, his coaches, what the community is supporting. Your continued success and, sort of a momentum that you've gained and guarded and sustained as you went, through education and now as an attorney. I mean, it should empower us, man. It should encourage us. It should cause us to reach out and say, if I could only embrace the sea salt and dark chocolate. I feel coming.
Good afternoon, Cayman Islands. God bless us as we continue to pursue the kingdom of God. Dwayne, there was a question that the Pharisees asked about Christ. And it was, but isn't he the carpenter's son?
Yeah. Can anything good come from Nazareth?
Can anything good come out of Nazareth?
Sorry, Westby, is that what they said?
Can anything good come out of Galilee?
Yeah.
Can anything good come out of Nazareth?
Mm-hmm.
You see, sometimes we build our own walls, right? Somebody throws one stone after you, like you and your children are going to never amount to nothing. Why would you ever expect that a community this small could bring out a world-class golfer?
Yeah.
Tiger Woods, watch out. And I want to congratulate him right now, because you get there by persistence, by perseverance, by believing in yourself and never giving up. He didn't pick up a golf club one day and boom, there he was. He got there because of practice, being committed. Sometimes we just we don't want to work for wealth. We don't want to work for accomplishments. We would just want to strike the lottery. We'll find out if we take on the next verse that says, by the sweat of your brow shall you eat.
Yeah.
That we will be a whole lot better off. But I'm glad for him and Sadoun and Mothersill and all the rest of the athletes. Our Amateur Basketball Association. Take our Special Olympians.
Yeah.
Right?
But also take our...
You can't plant a thorn bush and expect that you can get periwinkles, right?
Yeah.
So perhaps we as a country need to invest more into growing our flowers, our youth, our potential and talents. God gave it to us.
Yeah, we need to nurture it and water that garden.
We do.
I'll be mindful of this, and if it offends any sensibilities of higher-ups, whether elected or appointed in the civil service, in the private sector, in the church, forgive me, that's not the intent. But to your point, I'm wondering, right, how many of us stop to recognize the sacrifice the individual family makes? That family could be a wealthy family when it comes to their money, but there's an opportunity cost. So the $100,000 or the $100 or the $1 that they spend on something, that is that amount of money less that they can't spend on something else. That's obvious. I mean, that's just how it is, right? Yeah. Now, with that in mind, are we, as you just said, are we willing to invest as a government, as a family, as a community in building up our people in that resource? Not just the education and academics, not just the athletics and the like, not just the arts, but perhaps the opportunities for those people to gain a semblance of experience. I've always believed that as a student, if you could work and study elsewhere for a semester, for a year, that would be helpful. Once it's a safe place, right? Yes. You want to, but you should be encouraged. As an employee, you working with a company that may either have offices elsewhere, you go and you get seconded. If you work for government, perhaps you move through different areas. If you work for a bank, there used to be this management training program. I forgot what it was called way back when, when I had hair and stuff. And you went through, you were going to eventually become probably in this area, but you went through the organization and you understood what was happening. I wonder if we were to stop and think of how we're spending money as families, as individuals, as a community, as a government. Are we looking for greater value and greater investment in what once was talked about, nation building? It's not just the gas pipeline to fuel you in the winter, or the bridge to connect you from one part of the other, or a road, but it's actually these things that are meaningful. But anyway,
Yes,
maybe that's because it's
but
political.
You know, Dwayne, as parents and community members, and as a country, and even our government leaders who play their roles in this country, we have to be able to think further than today. We need to be looking at what are we going to do today, tomorrow, next week, next year, 5 years, 10 years, 15 years for our next generations.
Yes.
Our building now is not supposed to be for ourselves. We're supposed to be laying foundations and walls.
Be the cathedral builders.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Because our government should be looking at a 100-year plan.
At least.
Right? If we had not, well, if we go back 100 years, we know that the limitations back then were kind of limited for mechanical opportunities, in mechanical tools. But if the vision had remained there from the time we first saw the first Studebaker, Captain Kidd had one, you know.
I don't want to hear the story.
But
sorry,
that was a man.
Yeah.
That was a man. Captain Kidd stopped them from dredging up the sandbar. Anyway, along with the support of your father, he does another good man. Okay, but those are Iron Men. Those are Iron Men wooden ships, right?
Oh, that is cool.
But if we had started to have some vision then, and we realized that the men were going to see sending back money. You know, there's at one time there's an estimate that they would send them back as much as $2 million per year, right? That's a lot of money.
Giving a small amount of people.
Yeah. So if we had some vision then, if we had thought about what the future could potentially bring, then we would have already been planning for sidewalk space and wider roads and that sort of stuff. And that's just a simple part of this.
Let me ask you, and for those who are listening, I speak to Katina England, and for me, I would like those listening to weigh in, but I recognize that this is a discussion where we're going to challenge each other's thought processes. We're going to look at what is and what could be and what should be and what possibly, may not be because of different things, right? But to your point, whether it's looking at where Cayman is now, its physical landscape in terms of buildings that are built, buildings that are no longer here because we tore them down. What about, and I don't say this to offend anybody in the judiciary or anybody in sort of decision making, right? But Mr. Steve Myfield told us about, it was a tamarind tree out in town where men gathered and they conversed, and sometimes they got very interactive, right? Good word.
I remember that word.
It's a good word. Right? Now, is it? I wasn't there. Right? But I was always looking at my perception of places across the globe. What I was told of what Hyde Park is in England, right? Different places where you gather. Like a street now up in the Sound, for an example. Right? We should be mindful of word choices and but that aside for now. Here's this tree, and instead of doing what the judge did and maybe shouldn't have been able to do, we cut the tree down. We removed that core central gathering point that could have sparked a lot of things, right? Are we still doing that? With that in mind, are we still as a people saying, well, this is my land, and we can't do this with it. We're not going to do that because there isn't a collective input. Think of the stupidity, and I say this seriously, of say Webster's Estates, right? Got a property in there. We gated the community for what? To keep people out, or to imprison the people that are living in there, right? Good people, me all well intentioned, but you as a mentor, all right? How you gonna drive your children through there to say, listen, over here was where Mr. So-and-so lived, where Mr. So-and-so lives now, and he was this, and boy, you could have aspired to this, right? And I did that. When people like Mr. Hurlston, Mr. Pearson, Mr. Livner, Mr. Tormey, Mr. Norman, and them, people that you knew, right? Other great people, right? And you drive through there and you say, man, this is who this is, right? You could be this person. And one little girl, right, Never forget her eyes. Saw her a couple weeks ago. Got her all her professional accomplishments, and she was just one in a little group, being inspired because you could physically take them somewhere and show them something.
Mm-hmm.
There's a stone's throw from their school.
Mm-hmm.
But no, we got to import the apartheid, South African ridden racism crap that we see here. That has to stop, man. We need to come together.
I totally agree. But it begins also with Caymanians wanting to be Caymanians.
Mm-hmm.
And I say that because I have heard Caymanians speaking so disparagingly about other Caymanians.
Okay, sadly, yeah.
We need to embrace who we are, right? Part of that is not just our history and the heritage that comes with it, but the things that are unique to us because of who we are in a cultural sense. You know, the food that I like to eat, that my mama taught me how to cook. Her mama taught her how to cook.
Probably sure how to eat too.
Yeah, like mangoes. With the juice running down your arm.
You got to lick it from the
it's
side.
soon coming, Dwayne. That time's soon coming again. We are.
I pray so.
This is January, so by April.
Yeah, but Ms. Katina, right?
We gotta embrace Caymanianism.
Yeah.
Get rid of this thing about Caymankind. I don't know exactly what that's supposed to be.
Yeah, that's.
But Caymanianism,
yeah.
All right, and part of that is that Caymanian dialect. I called up somewhere the other day. I won't say right now. I called up somewhere. And she had the strongest Caymanian accent. And I said to her, girl, listen to me. I'm going to hang up this phone and I'm going to call back because I want to hear this one more time. Because it was just so good to hear it, right? And she laughed and she said, thank you so much. You can't believe how much times people say to me, comment on my accent. Some positive, some not positive.
Yeah.
I said, girl, listen, you run with my comment with you today. But this up.
Two things that you have shared, right? Let's take the last point with respect to that. Isn't it unfortunate that we have within our employment sector, put it this way, right? Professions where we hear from qualified Caymanians as lawyers and accountants, or you can't talk that way, right? But you ever listen to some people from other places speak, and not only is their grammar and diction and everything else, right? But it just doesn't fly. That aside for now, what I want to go back to what you said. So my second point is, we're more alike than we are different.
We are.
And the Caymanian dialect, the ethos, the culture and stuff. I'll be mindful that I don't want to offend anybody. I don't want to speak out of school. I don't want people to infer anything, right? But I'm honored, honestly, to be able to reach out to so many people, not just in the Caribbean, from other parts of the world. And I, in my mind, say these are friends, right? And in spending time with them, I use what in an intimate setting, you know, you're privately chatting, you're having, you're breaking bread, and the like. You get to learn to realize that it doesn't matter where you're from, you have shared and similar experiences.
Yes.
And even if they're very different, so I didn't have to grow up dipping water from a well, you know, come and walk up a mountainside in order to. I didn't have to do that, right? But there are similar things there that maybe members of my family did similarly. You know, the well, for instance. How can we get to a space where that we are in Cayman? We're so much invested in Cayman that we're making it as best as we can. Take, for instance, the growing divide the world is now seeing with whether you're wearing a mask or don't wear a mask, whether you're getting an injection, or even what you call an injection, right? And the way people, husband and wife, siblings, co-workers, right, government and the private sector, everybody seems to be at odds with each other. We just stop and think, well, what are we arguing about? What is it that is important, right? And you know, we're not the cathedral builders. We're not the ones in the more who are standing in the gap. We're just being very self-serving and insensitive. Maybe I think. What are your thoughts?
I think that Caymanians should become proud of being Caymanians, and they should make every effort to embrace foreigners and say to them, "Oh, dinner thank you for the invitation. But you see, you can have to be at my house because I can cook some conch stew for you. As a matter of fact, and I can just cook it. You come over early. I can teach you how to cook it because all I need to know where I come from. Okay? Yeah. I think part of why our culture isn't flourishing in the country as it should is because we haven't opened up enough fearlessly and boldly and said to the foreigners, this is where you are. This is how it works. This is what food to us means. And also required by law is that you know some of our history and culture and you can speak English, but you should go beyond speaking English. You should speak Himanian because we have our own dialect. Come, let me teach you a few words so me and you can talk like me. Because when I go to Italy, when I go to Rome, I got to be able to speak Italian. If I go to France, I got to be able to speak French. So
Wow.
Yeah, so come, let me teach you. Okay? Drina, I have a couple of other topics that I want to cover this afternoon.
Of course.
So should we take a commercial break now or?
I think Susan might get turtle meat. Susan, you want to take that break? No? We can keep talking? All right.
Thanks, Susan.
Yeah. she I think she went to Lulu's got some turtle. Oh, yeah.
Okay, wonderful. So, Dwayne, let us turn to one of the things I want to talk about today.
Yes, ma'am.
And that is congratulations to the Canadians. Okay? We are watching Canadians as are millions of people in other countries throughout the world stand up to protect their democratic rights, their freedoms. And the truckers' convoy that started out in Canada has now been also joined by truckers from the United States. I can't think of anything in recent history in which these two countries, citizens of these two countries, came together like this. But it should speak to two things. It should speak to the view of the individuals of those countries, the citizens of those countries, towards the current government leadership and the violation of their rights. And it should also speak to the people themselves in understanding that they have the power to do something, right? So they're protesting against the vaccine mandates, the mandatory vaccination and vaccination mandates and so on up there. And I got three things that I want to talk about in relation to that. One is I want to look at the Office of National Statistics report, FOI, from the UK. I also want to look at how these mandates are destroying Cayman. And then I also want to talk about what's going to happen on Saturday. So seeing the time, I will calculate how I'm going to proceed with this.
Don't worry about it. You do your thing, girl. You do your thing.
Okay. So looking at the Office for National Statistics report, and I'm going to read it out for the public. And the source for this is ons.gov.uk. The title is COVID-19 Deaths and Autopsies, February 2020 to December 2021. I think I have my glasses in here.
Yeah, you can borrow Susan's.
I can borrow Susan's.
Okay, so what she said, Miss Coutinho, Miss Susan says, let's just take that break. Okay, you get your glasses on, and we'll do everything when we come back. All right, when we come back, she's going to give us, Miss Coutinho will give us the official data from the official UK source. So stay tuned for Talk Today.
From boat days to beach gatherings, leave the catering to Subway. Choose from small and large sandwich platters, double meat wrap platters, and top it off with optional cookie platters for dessert. Or ask about our Subway box to go with the option of 6-inch or foot-long sandwich, 1 cookie, and 1 bag of chips. For all occasions and celebrations, let Subway focus on the food so you can focus on the fun. Visit subway.ky for catering options. Subway. Eat fresh.
Families are like branches on a tree. We grow in different directions, yet our roots remain deeply intertwined as one. Savannah Pharmacy, your neighborhood pharmacy, has remained stable, strong, and deeply rooted in the community. The past 2 years have been very difficult, but they have taught all of us the value of family and embracing our loved ones. This 2022, Savannah Pharmacy encourages everyone to get in touch with your roots, embrace your heritage, show some extra love to your neighbor, and make the year a memorable one. Time is precious. Cherish it and those you love. Savannah Pharmacy, always just around the corner, with everything your family needs and convenient opening hours, including Sundays and holidays. Savannah Pharmacy. For more information, call 946-3336 or WhatsApp your Savannah Pharmacy prescription to 929-5045.
How do I lose weight and keep it off?
I can't just eat salads. Have you tasted my family's rundown? And oh, what about the turtle meat?
These are common questions I hear from people when it comes to weight loss. Learn how to lead a healthier lifestyle, the one you desire, and successfully manage your weight with my proven step-by-step process and my new book, New Shoes, A Journey of Self-Discovery.
Working with Donna has helped me create a healthier lifestyle. Old habits are no longer a challenge. If you're looking for help in managing life, reducing weight, and maintaining a lifestyle that fits your wellness goals, Donna Mitchell is the coach you need.
New Shoes, A Journey of Self-Discovery has been tried and tested on hundreds of participants in the Cayman Islands and is available on Amazon and Kindle. Order your copy today. Visit inspiredwithdonna.com for more details.
The chairman of the Liquor Licensing Board would like to remind liquor license holders in the bar and nightclub categories that there is to be no music and or no dance permitted on Sundays. The Royal Cayman Islands Police Service will be monitoring all businesses to ensure that they are following the requirements and conditions on their licenses. Non-compliant businesses could result in prosecution or the non-renewal of licenses. For more details, please contact the Department of Commerce and Investment on 244-2287, 244-6677, or email enforcement@dci.gov.ky.
With Logic, you get more things you do want, like faster fiber internet, more TV, entertainment, and better customer service. And you get less of the things you don't want, like waiting, boredom, and disappointment. More of the good, less of the bad. It just makes sense. Or should I say, it's logical. See what I did there? Call us or go to logic.ky to find out how you could be getting way more of what's good.
You, members of your family or household, could be required to isolate at a moment's notice. Ensure that you have stocked enough food, water, prescriptions, and sanitary items to last for 14 days. Have a plan if living arrangements require adjustments, and remember that all deliveries must be contactless. For more information on how to prepare and the support services available, visit www.gov.ky/coronavirus.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon. Welcome back, and thanks for joining us. It's Ms. Katina Anglin. We're having, as usual, a very lively and informative discussion that promotes, a lot of thought. The Christian Association for Civics and Political Education. But you were just sharing. But anyway, Ms. Katina, I should defer to you, Mom.
Thank you very much. So when we left for the commercial break, I had just started the intro on what I'm about to read. And because we have some people out there who have fallen in love with a word called misinformation, it is now their baseball bat. I'm putting this out there for those who just can't get past that anything that is contrary to their beliefs about the vaccination program must certainly be misinformation. So here we go. Starting from the beginning, this is a report from the Office for National Statistics. It was released on the 17th of January, 2022. The website is ons.gov.ky.
So this is in the Office of Statistics in the United Kingdom.
These are the statistics based on the United Kingdom. As you may recall, our government said that, and I'm paraphrasing, although we have the right and the ability to follow our legal ability, to follow our own system if we so devise one for the management of COVID-19, we have chosen to follow Public Health UK. So these reports coming up from the UK then is relevant to government decision making in Cayman, I choose to believe. The title of the report is COVID-19 Deaths and Autopsies February 2020 to December 2021. The FOI reference is FOI/2021/3368. This will make it easier for you to be able to Google this to find this information for yourself. The question asked, please supply deaths caused solely by COVID-19, where COVID is the only cause of death listed on the death certificate, broken down by age group and gender between February of 2020 up to and including December of 2021. Please supply the number of autopsies carried out on those where COVID was the only cause stated. So no comorbidities that killed them. Because remember, in 2020 we heard about how 11,000 dead from COVID last night, 18,000 dead from COVID last night, 7,000 dead from COVID last night, another 2,000 dead from COVID in the UK again last night, and so on and so forth. The numbers that I just called out were not all reports from the UK, but they were on the news constantly, right? So this FOI request is just focus on deaths in the UK.
It was just released last week.
17th of January 2022, covering the period February 2020 to December of 2021. So I'm going to give you some that may make it more applicable to us here. Let's look at the age group covering teenagers. 15 to 19. Deaths from February 2020 to December 2021, where COVID-19 itself killed somebody. One male, 0 females. Let's look at 20 to 24, 4 males, 1 female. Increasing in number, 35 to 39, 42 males, 15 females. Next age group, pick one. Pick a age.
60, anything over 60.
60. All right, so let's do 55 to 59 first.
Okay.
234 males, 92 females. 60 to 64, 254 males, 102 females. 65 to 69, 279 to 119. You have a increasing age group. What happens as you get older? You have a tendency to develop more comorbidities as well. But you're reaching to the age of time when you're getting closer to death.
According to the average age expectancy. Right. Okay.
So the highest age group was the 90 plus, which was 520 males and 97 to 1 females. The probability that you are still going to die because that you're older and less able to fight off anything, common flu kills very aged people.
It'd be interesting to see what if there are any reports indicate that as well.
Yes. Well, I do not have the report, but I can look to find it. All right? But if these statistics, so let me give you what the totals all together, because those were just excerpts from throughout the whole entire report, right? So the females total was 2,821 females. The males total was 3,362 males. The grand total was 6,183 combined. males and females, from less than 1 year old to 90 plus. Less than 7,000 people died in the UK over a nearly 2 year span, February 2020 to December of 2021. So roughly 3,000 people per year were dying from COVID. That is quite a different number than what was being presented in the year 2020.
Mm-hmm.
Right? If we had pressed the pause button first and said, hold on, let's get some sense of what is really truly happening before we start making drastic decisions. When they shut down the country first, they didn't know what they were dealing with. They didn't know how it was going to play out. They did what I choose to believe was in their minds the best decision to make. And I will never criticize that.
Mm-hmm.
All right? They had just been hit by something called COVID-19. Mainstream media was blowing it up. What do we do? What do we do? What do we do? Okay, so they shut the country down. The government has continued since then to fund, particularly in the tourism industry, which has costed us millions and millions of dollars. That's just from the governmental pocket.
Tens of millions. Huh?
We're not talking about the impact to private businesses. I'm going to get around to that in just a moment.
Mm-hmm.
But while government is funding tourism workers, there's a languishing body of people in here, in this country. That is those who were dependent on tourism workers as well. Okay? Some people in Cayman who worked in tourism, that's basically all they know how to do. From the time they were but a child, their father took them up on their knee, and they were there 3 years old, 4 years old, helping to steer the boat. Right? Some people in this room can identify with that.
I heard the stories, yeah.
You heard the stories, okay.
My brothers will tell you.
Government has continued to promise them that we're going to reopen, we're going to reopen, we're going to reopen. And, tourism workers have continued to believe that it's going to reopen.
Mm.
And then it shuts down at the last minute. Shuts down because of vaccine mandates. It's the reason why.
Mm-hmm.
Now, how much longer can we continue on like this? Because as far as I'm concerned, we're very much overdue already. Okay? The other statistics on COVID-19 is that 99.997% of people are asymptomatic and 99.998% of people recover without hospitalization. Mm-hmm. Why are we destroying our economies? For something that we're going to get over that we don't even know that we have. Anyway.
Mm.
So now we have Caymanian businesses where, let me stay in the water sports and tourism sector for a moment. People who never had a financial challenge before in the water sports industry, in tour industry, are now finding it hard to continue on because they continue to pay their insurance policies because government says it's going to open in 3 months. So when their business was paying the indemnity insurance before, they're now paying it out of their pocket. They continue to do all that they can do for their employees. Mm-hmm. Give their employees a little bit of work and still try to give them a whole week's. Give them 2 days work and still try to pay them for a whole week so they don't have to become an NAU dependent.
Mm-hmm.
Right? But the government said that this wasn't going to affect Caymanian business. We were shutting down for a while, get a grip on the situation, and then we would reopen.
Mm-hmm.
The goalpost has continued to shift on that, but it has shifted so hard and so fast that it's now destroying Caymanian business owners. Certainly, that can't be the goal of the government.
Mm.
Now, there's also the individuals the businesses who are dependent on the tourism worker, all right?
Mm-hmm.
Because the little mom and pop clothing stores and the beauty salons and stuff like that, they're feeling it too.
It's a knock-on effect.
Yes,
Mm-hmm.
yes. So now businesses are closing down, and more people are now lending aid to their neighbors that they didn't have to do before. How much longer can those individuals continue to lend the financial aid that is necessary to help their neighbors and to be a good neighbor and to keep your community going? Because poverty breeds crime. Let me help everybody out as much as I can so that nobody decides to burgle in anybody else's house. All right? How much longer can we continue on with that? But government said, listen, we're going to reopen. Am I speaking from a position of disregard for human life? No, I am not. The statistics has spoken for themselves that the aged, we're going to die in a way because we are all born to die. That is a very, very sad and sorrowful fact, but it's something that we need to accept as human beings, and then maybe we might start to live our lives a little bit better. We're born to die. You're not born to live forever. Okay? There are ways to provide care for senior citizens without creating a risk to them while we carry on as the breadwinners, taking care of working in tourism, working in our own businesses, as we be the breadwinners and provide financial care for our own senior citizens and family members who are family members, right? Now, the other part about how these vaccine mandates are affecting our business, our country, is that government said, it's not going to affect, vaccination policies are not going to affect Caymanian employees. Well, lo and behold, if you go back to the show where I came on here, somewhere before July the 24th, it was somewhere around the end of June, beginning of July. Mm-hmm. And this was when they first spoke about, we're entertaining the thought about mandatory vaccinations for work permit holders. And I came on and I said, that story is not going to work. Eventually, they're going to have, in order to step away from discrimination, they're going to have to apply it to Caymanians. Now, I come to understand that the Human Rights Commission, which needs to be disbanded because it's not carrying out its purpose, it's, in my personal opinion, a front for LGBT lobbyists and protections. LGBT community members are human beings in this country and deserve to be treated like every other human being in this country. But their rights do not supersede mine as an individual in this country.
We do have a call too, but and then we have to break in like 15 seconds. And you have to, and Ms. Katina has to be exiting in less than 15, right?
Yes.
So.
Well, how about we take the break quick?
Susan? Katina's rules. We'll pause and take that break, and we take the caller, and then we continue. Stay tuned for Talk Today.
Families are like branches on a tree. We grow in different directions, yet our roots remain deeply intertwined as one. Savannah Pharmacy, your neighborhood pharmacy, has remained stable, strong, and deeply rooted in the community. The past 2 years have been very difficult, but they have taught all of us the value of family and embracing our loved ones. This 2022, Savannah Pharmacy encourages everyone to get in touch with your roots, embrace your heritage, show some extra love to your neighbor, and make the year a memorable one. Time is precious. Cherish it and those you love. Savannah Pharmacy, always just around the corner with everything your family needs and convenient opening hours, including Sundays and holidays. Savannah Pharmacy. For more information, call 946-3336 or WhatsApp your Savannah Pharmacy prescription to 929-5045.
Subway makes it easy for you to stay on top of your health and wellness goals with our Fresh Fit menu options. Choose from 5 Fresh Fit Subway sandwiches with only 450 calories or less per 6-inch sub. Turkey breast, veggie, oven roasted chicken, Black Forest ham, sweet onion chicken teriyaki, or make your 6-inch Fresh Fit sub into a salad or wrap prepared with fresh vegetables. For a full menu and nutritional information, visit subway.ky. Subway, eat fresh.
Thinking of getting a hybrid but don't know much about them? Vant Motors has 3 great reasons why you should own the Toyota CHR. Hybrid save fuel, run cleaner, reduce CO2 emissions, and even recharge their batteries while being driven. So there's no need to plug in a hybrid, making it both economical and fun to drive. And you don't have to replace your battery every 2 years. The CHR Hybrid is reliable, providing up to 1 million kilometers on the same battery and engine. Oh, and now you can save $2,000 off the Toyota CHR, starting at only $33,500.
That's way more than 3 reasons.
True, but the best one is that it's on sale now. Test drive the Toyota CHR today at Vant Motors, Walkers Road, while stocks last. It's that time again to empty your coin jars and piggy banks. So K-Man, dig deep and give from the heart. Your loose change may not seem like much, but together as a community, we can use it to make a huge impact. Meals on Wheels is celebrating 25 years of serving the community, and you can help us to provide a hot meal to some of the most vulnerable members of our country, our seniors. And now, more than ever, we need your help to meet the increased demands. Whether it's Jangles or Foles, donate what you can when you see the Meals on Wheels volunteers stationed around Grand Cayman on January 28th and 29th. Join Cayman Islands Meals on Wheels, Davenport Development, and Radio Cayman in the fight to end senior hunger in the Cayman Islands. Visit www.mealsonwheels.ky or call 769-1974 to learn more.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon. Welcome back, and thanks for joining us. And thanks to Miss Katina Anglin. And the idea of civics in political education, but then as a Christian association is buoyed for that. I think is helpful. I know that you have another very, very pressing, important engagement, and they have to exit very shortly. I know Miss Susan had reference earlier as a caller. With great respect to the call online, I thank you for your patience as we quickly take the call. Good afternoon, welcome. Hello, good afternoon.
Hello, good afternoon, Dwayne.
How are you?
Fine, thanks. Good afternoon to Katina there.
Good afternoon, ma'am.
The topic that you're talking on about COVID I'm on the same page with you talking about COVID, because I can't see where all these figures come from now. All of a sudden, but before they said these were dying from COVID. Now all of a sudden now they're dying with something else now, because the numbers are changing again. I have another question, or maybe I have a question. Maybe you can inquire on it. I would like to know, now that government has reduced the quarantine time for vaccinated and unvaccinated people, what we would like to find out if the figures, because remember now the vaccinated is reduced down to 7 days.
Is it 5 and day 6?
It's reduced down to 11 from 14. From 10 to 7 and from 14 to 11. What we're trying to find out that I can't understand, so I'm asking for a clarification from somebody. If, for instance, they say your PCR, PCR vitals or whatever you call it, should be at 35 and should make you pretty much less risk of spreading COVID. But, for instance, I know for a family yesterday, they're all fully vaccinated. They all did their 7 days, only to be told that they are now at 27. So what do those people do? Say told them to come back in 4 days, they should be at 35. But what happened if when they go 4 days and at 35? I thought that would reduce the numbers down so that people would have, because they say it took 14 days before to get out of the system. reducing the time for them to quarantine isn't changing COVID. So that's what I would like to find out, is have they changed the numbers on the quantity of days that the numbers that the people have to meet in order to be released from COVID.
Okay. Thank you.
Understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Well, I'm a bit concerned about it because I know people that are fully vaccinated and they did their 7 days now, and according to the statistics or according to the government, they shouldn't be at no more risk. But then they only at 27, so did their numbers get reduced?
Well, then, sorry, let me just speak quickly on what the caller just said, and then I need to finish off what it is that I'd like to say. She speaks about vaccinated people having COVID-19 and having to be in isolation. So then what was the benefit in taking a vaccine? Because you still contracted COVID-19, you're still in isolation. And we also need to be very mindful of this fact, that Mr. Mullis, who created the PCR testing machine, said it is not a diagnostic tool. It will pick up anything from anywhere, kind of, to say. It will test positive for coronavirus and nucleides from coronavirus up to a decade ago. It has a very high fault rate. It's not reliable, but yet we are destroying people's rates.
But hasn't the U.S. through CDC reportedly now stopped using it?
Yes.
Okay.
And this is one of the atrocities, I can call it, atrocity of freedom. Because it's past a violation. What happened globally and even what is still happening in this country with this testing on the PCR, because it's not really a test, it's a technology, right? So we have built up this thing on a unstable foundation using a faulty device that was not able to diagnose an illness, only the presence of nucleides. And then we started heaping violation after violation, destroying families, more bickering and fighting, and there's the us and the them of the vaccinated and the unvaccinated. I want to thank all the vaccinated and unvaccinated people who are now coming together because they realize that the division can no longer happen. It's not good, it's not healthy for us. But anyway, destroyed our businesses, destroying our jobs, destroying our families, with a 99.997% chance of being asymptomatic, which means you don't even know that you have it, so you're really not doing you no harm, and 99.998% chance of recovering from it without even needing hospitalization, right? So when you're talking about, oh, well, a vaccine reduces your chances of survival, bro, how much more can you increase your chances of survival when you've done already above 99%? How, and the symptoms, how much more can you reduce the symptoms than what it already is? You're asymptomatic, you don't even know that you have it. No coughing, no sneezing, no headaches, no throwing up, no nothing. You're just moving on. And then you take this test, and the test says, oh, tested positive of coronavirus. So you wouldn't have known that you had it because it's not doing you anything. And by the way, asymptomatic people can't spread coronavirus. They have no way of. So why are we destroying people's lives? It's fine. We started first. We didn't know what it was we were dealing with. We took some drastic steps. But here we are in 2022. It's time now to pull these mandates back. All right? They said the vaccines mandates was not going to affect Caymanian employment. But the Caymanians were left, like all the rest of the employees inside the building, to the will of the employer, who were hearing on his end that he was being negligent and didn't care about his customers and didn't care about his employees if he didn't make sure everybody was vaccinated. All right? For the sake of continuance of his business, he imposed vaccination policies. And then if you're unvaccinated, you can't come to work. And because they have the right to tell you whether, or they think they have the right to tell you whether or not you can work from home, then they won't even pay you if you're not in the office, but you're still able to work from home. And now you have able-bodied Caymanians who are still employed, despite what the employer is saying, now looking at going to NAU to get their bills paid. And we want to encourage this type of tyranny in the country to continue on, to destroy him anymore, because I really don't want to be a part of it anymore. I never was a part of it. I don't want to exist in it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want the financial strain of having to maintain my community because my government ran broke because it destroyed everything else that it had. I don't want to see people's businesses, people selling off their boats for less than they paid and getting stuck with a balance of a mortgage because at least they got something for their boat, but tourism hasn't returned and they can't continue on any further. So hopefully if they get another job, they can pay off the loan for their boat that they got in business for going good, because you won't end the mandates.
Mm-hmm.
All you're doing is destroying Caymanians, and it's time for Caymanians to realize that when Caymanians said, oh, well, that's okay, and I spoke about this, and I'm sorry to have to say that it has come full circle and that my word was true. I sat in the studio, maybe in the same chair, but in the same position, and I said, if you're thinking that it's going to be only the work permit holders that can be affected, you're seriously wrong. All right? Why it come out to be? Caymanians are now dependent on NAU that would horribly disappointed. All right? People talking about, I feel my integrity is being violated because I have to go apply at NAU. What we doing to our citizens? Why? Because you want to impose arbitrary law?
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, are we time for another break? Because they're going to spend 5 more minutes in the studio.
We got news at 2 minutes.
We got news in 2 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
So let me take this 2 minutes to say this. Last week, Saturday, there was a group of citizens who came out. They stood out there from 10 until 3. They said they were going to be there until 3 p.m. They were protesting the vaccine mandates. They stayed. A downpour of rain, a deluge came down, and they stayed. They wouldn't change their position. You know why? Because they were standing up for their rights. And they believe that they are right in what they are doing.
Mm-hmm.
And they know that if they don't stand up for them, they are not resisting government's violation of their rights. So as small as that group of people may have been, they were the ones who were resilient. They were the ones who cared for their rights.
Mm-hmm.
They made a pledge. They said, we're going to come back out here every Saturday from 3 until 6 p.m. until something changes. Until that, the change they're talking about is the mandates are recalled.
So no more mandates.
So I'm going to invite other people to come out there and join them.
Mm-hmm.
Each and every Saturday from 3 until 6 p.m. to come out and stand up for your rights.
All right.
I'm going to tell you something else. If government can violate your medical rights, even when the ICCPR says that they can't, I want to let you know that is the only right that they are going to violate. Mm-hmm. Sit down, keep your mouth shut long enough, and you find out all about it.
All right. So after the break, a couple of minutes with you? And
yes.
Then you can remind us? Okay. News break, and then a few more comments from Ms. Katina. Stay tuned.
Satisfaction is guaranteed 24 hours a day, whether it's music or information.
From Grand Cayman to Cayman Brac to Little Cayman, we've got you covered.
You ever hear a thing like that?
Radio Cayman in the Cayman Islands.
Today's biggest news.
Radio Cayman.
Your voice, your choice.
Local, regional, international. This is Headlines from Radio Cayman's newsroom.
Today's biggest news.
With your latest headlines, I'm Felicia Rankin-Solins. Police are investigating a stabbing on Hearst Road. Around 2 a.m. today, 2 men in Newlands were involved in an altercation with each other, both receiving multiple stab wounds. Both men are in hospital being treated for serious injuries. Anyone who has any information about the incident is asked to contact Bodden Town CID at 947-2220. In international news, Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelensky has called on the West not to create panic amid the buildup of Russian troops on his country's borders. He told reporters that warnings of an imminent invasion were putting Ukraine's economy at risk. On Thursday, U.S. President Joe Biden said he believed Russia could attack its neighbor next month. Russia, however, denies it is planning to invade, and on Friday, its foreign minister said Moscow did not want war. A race against time is underway for the U.S. Navy to reach one of its downed fighter jets before the Chinese get there first. The $100 million F-35 seaplane came down in the South China Sea after what the Navy describes as a mishap during takeoff. The jet is the Navy's newest and crammed with classified equipment. As it is in international waters, it is technically fair game. The world's most famous female mouse is getting an outfit makeover. Minnie Mouse will soon be changing into a smart blue pantsuit, swapping out of her traditional red polka dot dress while keeping her iconic bow. The new look was designed by Stella McCartney to celebrate 30 years of Disneyland's Paris resort. Despite the change being just a temporary one, it has been met with a mixed reaction online from Disney fans. These are your latest headlines. I'm Felicia Rankin-Zollins.
For the latest in news and information,
follow Radio Cayman on social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Download the Radio Cayman app or log on to our website, radiocayman.gov.ky.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon, and welcome back, and thanks for joining us, Ms. Katina Anglin. Thank you for taking a few extra minutes. I know you have a most pressing schedule as usual, but as the Christian Association for Civics and Political Education, now you did share it to the break again tomorrow from the Governor's House.
From 3 until 6 p.m., there will be a group of protesters. And all of you who are so inspired by the truckers' situation over there in Canada, can come and lend your support in a human chain in Cayman and stand up for your own rights. They stand up for theirs in Canada. They got 20 miles of truckers standing up. 1 million people are in Ottawa right now calling for Trudeau's resignation.
It's a small population when you think about Canada. I mean, what, they got 5 people over there?
But listen, this is why it is that people in Cayman need to be even more aware of how easy it is to lose your rights in Cayman, because you don't have a population that large. All right? The plate of food that the government has to eat here is considerably small in comparison to Canada's, right? But you still have the same rights, right? The freedom of information, right to freedom of movement, assembly, right to freedom of protection of life, right to be free from torture and inhumane treatment. All basically the same rights that they have, right? Because we incorporated the ECHR model for our Bill of Rights here in Cayman. So I want to invite people to come out there and lend their support. Now, we were joined last week by vaccinated people as well, who came and stood up. Because they took their vaccine of free choice. They don't appreciate what it is happening with all the mandates. And they don't appreciate the people being forced to take the vaccine. And one of the people who I spoke to from months ago said, look, I own a business here. I'm a multimillionaire. I don't have to live here. I can go buy my own island. I got vaccinated, but it won't come from my mouth to one of my employees about whether or not to get vaccinated. They need to go do their research. It's not a part of our policy, and it won't be issued from out of this office, right? Because he believes that people have the right. But somehow I choose to believe also that people have enough sense to know what it is that's best for them, you know? And if only we would stop meddling around with people's medical information, asking people for vaccine pass and all of that stuff.
Did the UK stop this now? Or did the UK Prime
Boris
Minister
sorted it all out. No.
Okay,
Yeah.
so that's no longer... Okay.
Exactly. Incredibly, our government continues to charge down the same road with vaccine mandates, but they said they were following Public Health UK. But the UK government has taken a shift away from that. But it seems like our government's still going to run ahead like a bull in a china shop.
It seems like a lot of, from international media, a lot of other European countries are following suit. I mean, I think even Ireland and the like as well. So maybe that's the new information now that's going to guide them. I think Mr. Johnson did say that from what they receive from the data, they seem that this would be what should guide their decisions. And we'll see.
We'll see. And I'll see how many people are interested in standing up for their own rights on Saturday, you know. So from 3 until 6 p.m.
What are you asking for those who want to come out? As we drove by, just because it's a small community and we talk to people, as you did say, you could see, you know, people who took it and people who, for whatever reason, didn't assembled together, standing on principle against what they feel from what you shared. You know, you shouldn't be forced to do something. So that was what this demonstration is trying to get to the space. The UK now is moving from that direction, or has moved.
Yeah. You know, some people want to challenge about, when you were vaccinated from time you were children. I don't recall sticking my hand in the air and saying, vaccinate me, vaccinate me. I remember crying, screaming, being terrorized. I did not want to get stuck by an injection needle, right? I wasn't a willing participant in that. I certainly wasn't informed. And if you said it now, that I need to be immunized now, I'm going to say I'm really, really sorry. But it's not going to happen. People who want to support about the MMR, the polio vaccines and stuff, need to go check some of the more recent reports about how there is now a vaccine derivative form of polio. And this is the result decades down the line from that vaccination program back in the 50s and 60s. There's also some reports out there that say that really what ended polio and other diseases was herd immunity. You know? So back in the day, there was some challenges about information. And our parents didn't really know whether or not we had rights and what were those rights and stuff like that. What they knew was if they wanted their children to go to a government school because it was free, then they needed to take them to the clinic and get immunized.
Or they thought they had to.
They thought they had to,
yeah.
Yes. So, you know, that wasn't them making a fully informed decision either.
Because it's not mandatory.
That was coercion.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, yeah. Certainly, maybe a lack of full disclosure. So tomorrow, for those who wish to attend, are you requiring anything of us who want to come along? To just show up?
Bring your own sign. Bring some sunblock if you choose to wear it. Because the sun came up with such force on Saturday. He said, look, I just want to show you that I'm still up here. I'm going to part these clouds. I'm going to shine hot so you know that I still exist, right? But anyway, bring some sunblock. Bring a hat. Bring your sunglasses and come out. It was actually also a fun day because we got to see people who we hadn't seen for several weeks. Protesting isn't always, loud and aggressive and riotous. Protesting is being adverse to what it is.
Visibly demonstrating support for something.
Yes.
Or oppose to something. Yeah.
Even when you verbally oppose something, you're protesting against it. Right? So sometimes people think that protest has to be destructive. No, that's a riot. And we're not calling anybody out to riot. We're calling people out to protest.
Demonstrate.
Stand up for their rights.
Yeah.
So
show their support, solidarity. All right.
So I going to exit from the studio. But before doing so, I am going to say God bless the Cayman Islands as we continue to pursue the kingdom of God in all its righteousness. A pleasant good afternoon to Miss Charlene, to Mr. George, to Donna and Izzy, and to you too, Dwayne. You have a wonderful afternoon. Susu, all the staff here at Radio Cayman. And God guide our government that the decisions that it makes is in accordance with the Word of God. because at the end of this journey, we're going to end up one of two places, in heaven or in hell, according to the words of our mouth, the acts of our hands, and the thoughts in our minds. Once we are in opposition to the word of God, we will find ourselves in hell, and it is a final destination. Heaven and hell, there's no exchange, there's no different pathway, there's no second choices, opportunities. It's you're either here or you're there. It's final. If you need any guidance about becoming a Christian, please feel free to reach out to the Christian Association at caymanchristiancivics.ky or myself on 922-6644. You can speak with any of your pastors or laymen as well. And I just want to remind the general public that God doesn't save people just inside the church. He is able to save you wherever you are. I was saved and redeemed on the same Birch Tree Hill Road that I used to consume drugs on. He didn't save me in a church. He didn't save me in the presence of a pastor or a pastor's wife. I wasn't at a big Christian conference, you know. It was just me and God walking on the road when it happened for me. And from then until now, my life has not been the same. So may the peace of God abide with you. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. All right, with that, we'll pause quickly and come back after the short break for the remainder of our program. Please stay tuned.
For medical lab services in Cayman, go straight to MedLab. Blood test, x-ray, and mammogram, all of that is MedLab. Affordable fees and friendly service, a full professional team. MedLab is always comfortable, MedLab is always clean. For medical lab services in Cayman, MedLab.
Call 949-7331 and ask about MedLab's new state-of-the-art digital mammogram machine.
Families are like branches on a tree. We grow in different directions, yet our roots remain deeply intertwined as one. Savannah Pharmacy, your neighborhood pharmacy, has remained stable, strong, and deeply rooted in the community. The past 2 years have been very difficult, but they have taught all of us the value of family and embracing our loved ones. This 2022, Savannah Pharmacy encourages everyone to get in touch with your roots, embrace your heritage, show some extra love to your neighbor, and make the year a memorable one. Time is precious. Cherish it and those you love. Savannah Pharmacy, always just around the corner with everything your family needs and convenient opening hours, including Sundays and holidays. Savannah Pharmacy. For more information, call 946-3336 or WhatsApp your Savannah Pharmacy prescription to 929-5045.
You see how hard it's raining?
Yeah, and I don't have time to fight traffic and get my lunch from Subway. I have so much work to do.
Why don't you order Subway by using the Let's Eat or Bento app? Save time, stay dry, and get your sandwich fast.
I never thought of that. Great idea. I'm going to order now.
Order me a veggie pizza while you're at it.
And a cookie platter for the office. Too busy at work or home? Is the rainy weather stopping you from dining out? Order your favorite Subway sandwich, wrap, or pizza through the Let's Eat or Bento app with fast and reliable delivery. Subway, eat fresh.
A couple means two. Whether it's your spouse, significant other, or bestie, couples who sweat together stay together. King Sports Center is offering a gym and bowling special this Valentine period. Get 2 annual Powerhouse Gym memberships for $750 starting from February 6th and ending on the 14th. Receive a free self-defense class for 2 upon purchase. At Kingpin Bowling, couples can get 2 games and 2 glasses of wine for only $40. The bowling offer is from February 11th to the 13th only. For more info, call us at 946-5464. That's 946-5464. King's Sports Center, your second home for fitness and recreation, celebrating 20 years of service.
Due to the high number of COVID cases in the community, Water Authority Cayman is encouraging customers to conduct as much business as possible online or over the phone and avoid coming into the office. Need to pay a bill? You can do it online. Just visit our website, www.waterauthority.ky, and click on the Pay My Bill button. Are you experiencing service issues? Contact our customer service team via the phone on 949-2837 or email info@waterauthority.ky. Don't forget to practice good hygiene by washing your hands frequently with soap and water. For updates from the Water Authority, visit our website, www.waterauthority.ky, and our social media pages.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners' participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon. Welcome back, and thanks for joining us. It is indeed a fantastic Friday's edition of Talk Today, as we invite you to be a part of it. We recognize that many things happen, and sometimes happen simultaneously, sometimes they're happening, and we probably don't acknowledge it then and there because we know the consequence of so doing. That doesn't mean that the good, bad, or indifferent doesn't affect us in some ways. It just means that we are called to put a good foot forward, and doing so hand in hand, hand over heart, or working together to make it better for each other will improve where we are. As we invite you to think of how you can make life better for others, perhaps they do the same for you, and each person gives, his or her all. It's going to be better, Say a rising tide floats all the ships. Hey, 949-837, 1-800-534-8255, WhatsApp 925-3261. On behalf of the Christian Association, thank them for buying their space for thought and using the opportunity to share with the public. Hopefully, it'll encourage more open and meaningful discussion in an honest and objective fashion. Tomorrow, their invitation is extended to all to assemble for the notion of protecting and preserving as they promote our democracy. We had probably cognizant, and sadly, we question sometimes whether the supposedly accepted mainstream media is always accurate and objective, which is unfortunate. I think a journalist is probably one of the greatest callings in terms of their professionalism and objectivity. Sadly, increasingly now, we all probably are able to share information, sometimes meaningfully, sometimes maliciously. But when we had seen that this now that is transpiring in Ottawa, Canada, isn't something that has just come up overnight, or even initially when those of us who may have seen it in other media outlets were cognizant that what the truckers in particular were saying is that as they move goods back and forth between the U.S. and Canada, that could affect everything that we consume, from the building materials to our food stuff to potential medical supplies. How would that affect us here? Have we seen in our store shelves recently, and this isn't in any way to frighten anybody or to even suggest that the great businesses that we have here aren't doing their absolute best to ensure that they meet the demands of their customers. We heard it said nicely, there are some supply chain issues. Well, that means that they can't get the products that they are used to getting. Perhaps as we go into our businesses to buy the things that we normally buy, we may be seeing that those things are not available. If they are, they're in not the same quantities as before. Perhaps they're not in the same quality. Perhaps the prices are different. Let's not just blame the businesses for being greedy. Of course, that exists across the globe. It just means that it may be more costly. The availability isn't there. The question is, how do we draw alongside each other to ensure that remember our parents or grandparents, or even what we read in history during conflicts, or even in more recent times during what we may have seen because of inclement weather. There's a bad nor'wester and the ship can't pull into the port, so the shelves are a bit lacking. Well, maybe our parents, grandparents would tell us about those days, even in the war, where supplies were rationed. Perhaps you are from a place where you were right there and then in the thick of things, not just here in Cayman, where people left voluntarily and willingly to sign up to help to protect and promote democracy. But look at what is happening and ask, what can we do to make it as best as we can, not just for us now, or us as we age, but for our children, for them now and for their future. I think we have grown increasingly divided over so much. You take, a good game of football. After the game is played, the victory is even that much better when even the opposing team that was defeated, even their fans can sit with you and celebrate and share that, hey, your team played better today, and so let's celebrate the game and not necessarily the victory, because the win is in fact that the fans are able to enjoy, and then the next outing they come again and cheer perhaps even more loudly for the teams on the pitch. It's not that we're gladiators in some coliseum, and it is the intent that we are looking for a blood sport, but instead we are assembled and watching a wonderful game unfold and giving thanks that we can cheer and be present to do so, and then recognizing at the end of the day the celebrations will begin and be that much more enjoyable, because as fans of the sport we celebrate a great game being played, and that is enhanced by the competency and by the integrity and fairness of those who are officiating the game. So when the whistle blows or the flag goes up, we know that that's a just call, not because of some allegation of bribery or corruption or some other misguided attempt by the officials to sway the outcome. With that level of respect for the game and for the officials, then the game is that much more enjoyable, not just for the spectator, but for the player as well, because you have the respect of the whistle, because that referee is doing the game justice by being impartial. Now, you may say, well, that's a bit, idealistic, but think about it. Was it not different if, as two children before the parent, and one is saying, this was what happened, and the other is saying, no, this is what happened, and the parent looks at the situation and with great wisdom and insight makes the accurate, call, and both children go away understanding that mommy or daddy, was fair and firm, and did not necessarily agree because you felt aggrieved, but you had to accept that it was fairness. Would you not want it to be that way, or would you want to know that your mommy's favorite, so therefore no matter what you do you'll get away with it? Well, that probably happens in many households. Now, the other side of that coin could be that no matter what happened, I'm not going to listen to you anyway because you're a child, and as an adult, read the person in authority. You don't want to hear anything from you because, well, you're just a serf, right? You don't have any say and have any right to advocate. So this is the law of the land. Well, maybe that's what's happening in some places, whether it's in governments, whether it's in businesses, or whether it's there in some other organized entity where the person believes because of its financial wherewithal that they can dictate. If it happens and it goes unchallenged and unchecked, well, what happens later on down the road when there's something else? And there's a way to demonstrate your approval of something or your rejection of it. And maybe the civil way and the sensible way should be the one that prevails. And perhaps as we impress upon people to do so, maybe those in leadership and authority would reflect and respond with a sense of respect. And those who are advocating will do likewise, so that as you come to the table, the notion is, let's do the right thing because it is the right thing to do. Well, it's a Friday afternoon, and we recognize, as difficult as it is, that as have been happening for the last year and probably the last 6 months in particular, sadly on the weekend there are many of us who have had to say our final goodbyes as we lay to rest those who have gone on, and that is sadly almost a daily occurrence in our country now. I won't get into why and wherefores, but know that our love and our prayers are with all of our families that are experiencing that. And as they, go through this walk, maybe they'll feel buoyed by our prayers and our love. Go back to the first caller today, who embodies that notion that to be kind and considerate, to be loving and gentle, to be willing and giving because you can, not because of an expectation of what you will receive, not even in the hereafter, as I think many would subscribe to the notion that under the Christian ethos you can't work your way into heaven. There are those who will disagree, and so be it. But there are many who do things because it looks good and it makes them feel good. There are many who do it so graciously and so willingly that you don't even recognize that it's being done, because there's no bells that they're ringing in order to announce their contribution. Well, what we will do, and if you're so inclined, whether you wanted to share with that or whether you want to say something differently, I will accept a few more calls if it's your choice. 949-8037, 1-800-534-8255. It's a Friday afternoon, and I've said to many that I recognize what almost is now 3 decades that many industrialized nations, I looked at what was a practice in Germany that was introduced then, where they understood the importance of a 4-day work week. We saw the idea that increasingly the body needs a time to heal, to recharge, to rejuvenate. Many of us are working almost every day, almost all day long. Question that sometimes we ask ourselves, are we being productive? Is this sustainable? And sometimes, sadly, the answer is a very resounding no. So when you take time to relax, whether it is as a friend who's decided recently that it's about time, there's 7 days in a week, maybe he should rest more than one. Maybe he should consider taking a little time off. And when you rest, to not feel guilty about going fishing, not be guilty about playing with the grandchildren, not feel guilty about sitting in the backyard, under the coconut tree, just chilling. Let's take one final call. Hey, welcome. Good afternoon. Thanks for calling.
Yeah, good afternoon to you, Sterling Green.
And to you, sir. How are you?
Just fine, thank you. Often a very informative show, and people get a lot of different sides of opinions, which is very good.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
One democratic way, if you want to put it that way. Just like I say quickly, happy birthday to my dear sister Zoe.
Yes.
And also the notion that things can be agreed upon worldwide and all that's just not going to happen. You see, the United Nations comprised of powerful nations, Russia and China, and there's Pakistan and others, and many of the Arab nations, and that are very repressive and very, very repressive countries, and powerfully against their people having anything near to the kind of freedoms that we have. And you allow it, and the United Nations condones it because of the money coming out and the power that they have. And as I always said, in the last 50 years, the United Nations has just become a blind, toothless guard dog, really. And this is it. It's my opinion. I won't change that. So we have to learn to live with that. There will be countries that will be repressive and continue on. A light at the end of the tunnel we saw when President Bush, this last President Bush, invaded Iraq and restored quite a bit, or created there some sort of democracy. Women can run for politics and have been in the government now, and be school teachers and be a force in the government, which doesn't happen in neighboring Arab countries. And it's no use we try to say it does, it doesn't. And it probably won't ever will. So we have to live with this imbalance while we are here on this earth. As Stina said, if you either get to heaven, then you'll see more perfection. You won't see it here on earth at all. But that will continue. The best you can hope for is that people will strive to do the best they can for others, be giving and forgiving and so forth. We're all human and we'll all be hypocrites as long as we live, but most of us will try not to be as hypocritical, as we possibly can be.
Mm-hmm.
but we're just human, and that's how we are. We try to do the best. I try to give what I can. I notice there are many who can work and won't work and are bombing, and some are stealing and so forth. It's a small country. We know them all as Caymanians. We know most of them who were doing that, and there are very few. And there are those in need, very in need. And for a wealthy country, all this money, it shouldn't be that way. But, of course, our system of taxation does not even out things and does not allow the government to regulate and control certain things. But that's for another time.
Mm-hmm.
But this is the way it is. So we have to learn to be satisfied. We have our opinions, and the government has to follow the best advice they can get from medical experts and so forth. And if they say, well, take the vaccine, it will reduce their chances of being seriously ill. Nobody's telling you that it's going to stop you from getting virus, but it has been proven that the people who are vaccinated are very likely not to suffer serious sickness. And we have seen that. It's been proven all over the world. So there's no use trying to argue that, debate that point. If people don't want to take the vaccine for various reasons, Democratic Society, as we said, then that's theirs. But then they have to face up to the fact that there may be consequences for that decision. Like all decisions in life, when we go against the general strain of the government or the public, there are consequences. We saw it with the Vietnam resistance and the Vietnam crowds and anti-war demonstration. We saw the horrendous impact it had. I'm not saying that this is anything quite like that, but then the resistance to vaccine would be ludicrous to compare the two. But there we saw it started out as innocent things, and we saw what it became. So we have to be very careful with saying how we disagree with our government, and we end up, we see in those countries in the East, particularly in Africa, where every day there's some coup, there's hundreds of, in fact, thousands of killings of innocent children and so forth. And this is, we condone it. The UN turns a blind eye to it, and we don't want to pay any attention to it, maybe because it's happening in black countries, we don't want to say. But that's how it is. That's just how it is. Make the best we can, do the best we can, and exist the best we can, and try to obey our government and our laws, or suggestions, and see what the government is doing. Give chance. They're elected representatives. I don't like to say politicians.
Right.
Just like us. They are people, our parliamentarians. They are people just like us, and we elected them to try to give us a voice. All of us can't talk all at once. Here, God bless. Have a very good day.
Amen.
Bye.
Blessings to you, sir. You know, was it that nice animated show that I used to enjoy watching? But I'm hoping I would have got a chance to watch it again with someone. But, you know, fish are friends, not food, you know. Finding Nemo. Well, was it politicians or people too? Maybe it would be the new slogan, right? We hold them sometimes in high regard. Sometimes we are very, very derogatory and disrespectful to them. Sometimes, and they would probably say privately and publicly that their colleagues cause some of that, you know, perception to be shaped because of their, you know, missteps, as it were. So as we pray for those in positions of leadership, perhaps we pray for ourselves, for a sense of wisdom and counsel, a sense of sobriety and civility, a sense of a genuine commitment to country, and a love that, conquers all. We invite you to join Mr. Art on Monday morning for the record. We got an excellent show in store for as usual on Monday. We are inviting, you know, incredible journalists to join us, and looking forward to that discussion. We have a little thing coming on before that helps us to be informed about our health, you know, with our reps from Health City, and of course Miss Kayla Young will be our guest at 1 p.m. I only know her from a distance in the perspective of the professional realm, but she is truly a talented, admirable lady, and this is where when I say a journalist, I'm not a journalist. Just because, you know, we're pundits don't necessarily mean that, you know, we are positioned with that same level of, what you say, you know, calling that they may have. So each of you, let's ensure that we do our best for all of us. Until Monday, my friends, be blessed.
Talk Today is brought to you by Subway, open 24 hours in Countryside, Anderson Square in Georgetown, and Centennial Towers in West Bay. And by the Ministry of District Administration, Tourism and Transport. Explore your history, explore your land, explore your sister islands. MedLab in Smith Road Plaza, your complete medical laboratory solution. Call 949-7331. And Savannah Pharmacy in Countryside Shopping Village, convenient opening hours including Sundays and holidays.
Shaken yet standing firm.
I was not built to break.
This is Radio